On Tuesday, it was my day off. I was at home cutting the lawn because it was the only dry day this week when my wife brought my work phone up the garden to be told from the person who sorts out to all our staffing at work that I was being called into duty. They were cancelling my rest day on Tuesday. So got into work for 4 o'clock. Immediately got sent to Salford, just the bottom end of Salford precinct near where the market area is and the roundabouts. There were already some police officers from our unit on the ground there, and they'd taken some stick from bottles and pieces of brick and paving slab. We were getting constant information over our radios that they were going around breaking up breeze blocks, breaking up paving slabs. We ended up moving into an area on that small estate called Bryden Close. I was surprised by how many people were actually on the street that day. A full age range, down from small children up to middle-aged people and older. As we moved in, it became apparent that what they were doing, they were trying to entice us in, because they knew the estate, they knew the little rat runs and the ginnels far better than we did, even though we had the helicopter above us giving us this kind of information over the radios. As we were going in, they were picking their moments when we were perhaps looking the other way, turned our backs, moved our shields to talk to one another, to pick that very moment to throw something at us, be it a brick or whatever. That went on for probably 20 minutes, half an hour initially, at which point we decided to withdraw from that area because we were becoming the focal point. Just as we were about to get in our vans, I realised that there were two what we call serials, which a serial is ordinarily a sergeant and 7 PCs. Two of those units still inside the estate somewhere. We couldn't see them, didn't know where they'd gone. At that point, I had to make the decision to turn all of my staff round to go back in under the fire of bricks and stuff. And it was unusual, really, in terms of a riot situation, in that not only were we taking it from ground level, but we were right next to a tower block, and things were getting thrown out of there as well. All manner of stuff that you wouldn't want in a bottle getting thrown at you. We managed to get in, find these two serials, as we call them, back to back in an alley. They were kind of hemmed in. We ran at the people who were there who'd been throwing at us, telling them to go away, disperse, at which point they retreated far enough that we could take those officers out safely, get them in the vans and get them away from the area. After that, we regrouped, and I ended up going into the city centre to Piccadilly. And from then on, it was 100 miles an hour for several hours. I'm a fit person, but certainly it was very, very demanding, very hard work. Very little time to take on water and nothing to eat. What was unusual, again, and a particular concern for me, compared to Rangers in 2008, where we were predominantly dealing with just the crowd, there were people going about the daily business. There were shoppers, there were people going to and from work, because now it was 5:30, 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. And although we were taking flack from some elements of the crowd, it was difficult to distinguish at that time from a distance, perhaps, who was just trying to get home safely and who was actually causing us the problems. And again, comparing it to, say, Rangers, it was unusual that it was spread across the whole city. It wasn't just focused on Piccadilly Gardens. We were going from one end, we were going right down from Deansgate Locks and down by Duke's 92, all the way up to Piccadilly train station, the Northern Quarter, responding to shops getting ransacked. I think there's some footage of my officers going into Diesel on King Street because we got a report that there were still 2 people in there. And we wondered how they'd managed to smash the window into diesel, because it was the laminate glass, which is very difficult to get through. They'd actually uprooted one of the street signs, and that became it was an obvious tactic throughout the night. We came across the large metal bins that stand about that tall. They've actually managed to uproot those out of the pavement and use them as a battering ram to smash them the way into shops. We've got several reports of people trapped in flats above shops when they've been set on fire, Miss Selfridge being the obvious one. Then, obviously, we had to support our fire colleagues in creating an area in which they could work safely, which at times was difficult because we were still getting people coming down side alleys, whether it to be taking pictures on their iPhone or whatever. They were coming in, and we were constantly having to push people back to, for their safety. Later on in the night, again, we were running around, literally running miles throughout the city centre. Our van, even though it was just concentrating on what is in essence a square mile, the city centre used a whole tank of fuel, because I don't think we got out of second gear. We ended up going to Sainsbury's on Mosley Street, where we caught 2 people inside, all holding bottles of spirits, and that literally was it for the majority of the night, running up and down, carrying all the kit that we've got to carry. I know there's been some comment about why we didn't catch as many people. Believe me, I would have loved to have caught those people. I can run very fast, but when you're wearing steel toe cap boots, body armour, a helmet which restricts your breathing, carrying a shield and a baton, it's not that easy.
Yeah, from a fire service point of view, I'm John Varey, I'm Station Commander at Oldham Fire Station, and I was actually on duty. It was a 24-hour period of duty for myself on the night. I had a phone call earlier on in the day to prepare to myself to be Tactical Commander within the city centre for the evening. From a fire service point of view, and along with our police colleagues, we do have contingency plans to deal with this kind of incident, and hopefully we do feel that they don't happen that often from a fire service point of view. On the evening, all I can say from my perspective as Tactical Commander within the city centre, it was a very, very dynamic incident. We were moving from one incident to another. The main incident happened on Selfridges in Manchester city centre. That was being dealt with crews on my arrival. My first concern was for their safety, however they were being protected by the police at that time. From there we were mobilised to several other incidents within the city centre. Most of the incidents that I attended on that night within the city centre weren't fire related. They were actually damage related by members of the public. One area of concern for us was a call we received on Withy Grove. At one point we had to extract from that area under the protection of the police because it wasn't considered safe for our crews to stay there any longer. From that we ended up, or the crews who I were in charge with, ended up at several incidents within the Salford area where again we were very fortunate we were protected by the police. Within Salford and other parts there were several large fires which we attended, and on the night it became quite a successful operation from our side because we were obviously protected by the police and we sustained no damage to personnel. However, there was damage to several vehicles on the evening where crews were actually bombarded by bottles and bricks at the time. From that, really, I think from a fire service point of view, it was a successful event and the contingency plannings are still going ahead to be maintained over the next period if required. Just for a public reassurance from ourselves and the police, we do train to deal with this type of incident on a regular event, and the planning processes are in place to ensure public safety.